In a nightclub in Jakarta, there is a rich man from Surabaya. He is getting acquainted with a female YouTuber named Gwen. The woman is the girlfriend of Denny Russo. When they were talking, they were suddenly surprised by Denny's arrival with his bodyguard. Seeing this, Denny felt very angry. Together with his bodyguard, he beat the man. In the middle of a fight, Gwen recorded it then uploaded it to her social media. Arriving home, Denny's mother, who had seen the video, felt angry because Denny always acts at his will without thinking about the consequences. His mother was from Bugis, Makassar. She was worried about her son's behavior. He never changed and is still childish. His mother decided to tell Denny to go to Makassar. There, he will learn to be a responsible person by taking care of his family business. Before he left, he entrusted his credit card for Gwen and boarded it out with his bodyguard named Abdul. Preparing his clothes, Abdul finds a rhyme and shows it to Denny. But Denny casually said that he believed in money more than God. Upon arrival in the city of Makassar, Denny is greeted by two contract employees at his company named Tutu and Gogos. When arriving at the inn, Denny felt astonished after seeing the little boy who was fighting but was left alone. After that, Tutu said that it was sarong fighting. Sports are popular in their place. On the other side, there was a beautiful girl named Tenri. He will be proposed to by a sarong fighting athlete named San Rego. But because of his behavior, he is always stubborn and a troublemaker. Tenri didn't love him. Her father asked for a dowry worth $33,000. He hopes San Rego is unable to fulfill it. One day on the beach, Denny saw Tenri approaching two tourists from China who were littering. However, those tourists were confused because they did not understand the language used by Tenri. Luckily, Denny comes and helps Tenri to explain it to them. Then, Tenri thanked Denny for helping her. There, Denny was amazed by Tenri's beauty. At night, Denny, who was accompanied by Tutu and Gogos, returned to see Tenri. And on that night, he learns that Tenri turns out to be Tutu and Gogos' class sister in senior high school. At that time, Tenri's best friend named Kanong came. There, Kanong always couldn't help his feelings for Gogos. Then, Tenri said that they used to date, but Gogos decided to break up by using a piece of mail. While watching the sarong fighting performance, Tenri said that sarong fighting was a tradition of their ancestors who taught about the knight's soul. Fighting one-on-one. It's not a usual fight like in a city. When they got a chance to try fighting the sarong, suddenly San came with his bodyguard. They messed up the event. San felt jealous to see Tenri being with Denny. Later, San challenges Denny to perform a sarong fight. But Tenri, who felt bored with San's attitude, then directly scolded him and she left. Finally, San went away from the venue. On the next day, it was seen that Denny was in the office. He met the head of the Russo Corp branch in Makassar named Bobby. That day, Bobby asked Denny to sign their project contract. Before Denny wrote down his signature, suddenly there was a sound of people holding demonstrations to reject the beach reclamation project. He saw Tenri participating in the demonstration. Then, he asked Tutu and Gogos to hide their ID cards, so that Tenri doesn't know their identities. He did this to gain Tenri's sympathy. He pretends to beat up Bobby and then claims to be a non-governmental organization for environmentalists. At the same time, Denny meets San again at a port. On that day, San asked Denny to fight. There, Denny bravely accepts San's challenge, without being accompanied by his guards. Eventually, San manages to hurt Denny. He made Denny cry. After knowing Denny was a spoiled child, he photographed his face as a memory. At that time, Tenri came and immediately slapped San as a reward for his deeds. Not accepting his defeat against San, Denny calls Abdul for help so he can vent his grudge. But Abdul refused, because it was forbidden by Denny's mother. After that, he asked Tutu and Gogos to find him a thug to hit San. But they refused. The traditional arena in their place is to fight one-on-one, not for mobbing. Feeling that there was no way out of his troubles, he decided to return to Jakarta. But suddenly Tenri comes to apologize for San's behavior that always bothered him. San did that because he felt jealous after learning of Tenri's closeness to Denny, even after San has repeatedly proposed to her. But she always rejected the proposal from San. After receiving an explanation from Tenri, Denny gave up his intention to return to Jakarta. He asked to find a sarong fighting master. One day, Kanong introduced him to his uncle named Mr. Khalid. He is a legendary known expert in sarong fighting. In fact, he has repeatedly done Sigajong Lalang Lipa. It was a tradition of upholding shame or beetle in the Bugis language, where two people fight in one sarong, using a batik or some kind of knife. At first, he refused to accept Denny as his student. Found out that Denny was training just for revenge. Even though Denny was willing to pay for it, he rejected it anyway. But, because Kanong kept begging, finally, he was willing. But Denny had to be willing to obey the two conditions. The first is that he must not pay for it. And second, he must be willing to stay in the mosque. Denny objected to Mr. Khalid. Therefore, he went to leave them. The incident made Tenri confused. He chases Denny and finds out the reason he left them. Tenri feels shocked when Denny says that he doesn't believe in God. Tenri felt that she disagreed with Denny's beliefs. Then he got angry and left Denny. Not far from where Denny was, San was urinating. Looking at it, Denny, who was still feeling annoyed at San, immediately approached and pushed him and made San fall into the river. The moment he found out that it was Denny's deed, they went straight after him. After succeeding get away from San's bodyguards, Denny escaped by riding in public transportation. Poor Denny, he met San's bodyguard who also got in the car. After knowing that he was the person they were looking for, they beat him right away. Luckily, Mr. Khalid came to save Denny. After hitting San's bodyguard, Mr. Khalid invites Denny to go to the mosque. After they became acquainted, he then advised Denny, because he knew that Denny no longer believed in God. When Denny was about to go to bed, he was uncomfortable by the many mosquitoes there. When he asked Mr. Khalid for insect repellent to Mr. Khalid, he only told him to catch the mosquitoes one by one, because he felt unable to do so. Mr. Khalid then taught him how to catch mosquitoes. On the next day, San came to sue to Denny and Mr. Khalid, but Mr. Khalid ignored him. Then, he just showed me a brochure and asked San to fight against Denny in the sheath fighting tournament next month in Makassar. Denny felt it was impossible to be able to defeat San, because he was a scabbard fighting champion for 3 consecutive years. Hearing that, Mr. Khalid said something. It is impossible for people who do not believe in God. At the first rehearsal, Mr. Khalid asked Denny to hit him, but Denny's punch still very weak. To train Denny's hand strength, Mr. Khalid asked Denny to fetch water and fill the water spot in the mosque. In the evening, he invited Denny to join the prayers at the mosque, but Denny turned it down. Mr. Khalid, therefore, added a task to Denny. He had to tidy up the sandal by using the legs. Next day, Denny meets Tenri to apologize. He said he had been living in a mosque. Tenri then introduces Denny to her father. Her father asked Tenri to show him an 80-year room belonging to her late mother. The room contained the things of antiquity. Feeling that he had been living in the mosque for a week, Denny lodged a protest, because he feels that Mr. Khalid has not taught him sarong fighting. Hearing Denny's complaint, Mr. Khalid asked him to take a sarong. He began to teach Denny the sarong fighting. There, Denny just realized that catching mosquitoes and arranging sandals with his feet was the basic technique of the sarong fighting. On the other day, Denny and Tenri took a walk around the beach. Because he has negative thoughts and considers them antiquated towards women in veils, he asked Tenri, saying why she liked wearing a veil. Tenri answers his question by using candy as imagery. Tenri threw away the candy that was still wrapped. Then, asked Denny to pick it up and eat it. There, Denny said that the candy was delicious. Tenri again threw away one of the candies that had been opened and asked Denny to take and eat the candy. There, Denny said that the candy was not worth eating because it was dirty. Tenri then says if that could be used as an illustration for Denny in assessing women using a veil. On the next day, Mr. Khalid took Denny to practice sarong fighting on the boat. This is to practice the balance of his body. After that, they went to a place. After Mr. Khalid performed the prayers, he told Denny that in the past in this place he had killed someone by doing Sikajong Lalang Lipa. They do that to fight for the same woman. But what made him very sorry the most was that he had to kill his brother. That is Mr. Khalid's reason for repenting by becoming the guard of the mosque and drawing closer to God to ask for forgiveness. One day, San went to Tenri's parents to convey that he would participate in a fighting tournament with a total prize of $33,000. There San felt confident of winning the sarong fighting and getting money to propose Tenri. On the next day, Tenri meets Denny and tells him that San will propose to her, because he is aiming for a prize in a sarong fighting tournament worth $33,000. After that, hearing this, Denny said that he would also participate in the tournament, and he would be the winner so that San would not be able to propose to Tenri. Because of his passion to be a winner in the sarong fighting tournament, he seemed to be getting more and more eager to practice. When performing prayers, a snake bit Mr. Khalid's leg, but because Mr. Khalid focused on praying, he didn't feel the slightest pain. Strangely enough, on his legs there are no traces of snake bites. After seeing the incident, Denny realized it all. He asked Mr. Khalid to teach him how to pray in Adhan in the mosque. Day by day passed. Denny continued to practice sarong fighting with Mr. Khalid. While he was having dinner with his friend, he saw San's bodyguard who was blackmailing a merchant. Denny came to prevent him, but it's causing a fight. Denny easily defeated them. Moments later, San arrives and challenges Denny again to a fight, but there Denny still can't beat San. After the incident, he no longer had the spirit to practice. There Mr. Khalid asked Denny to be sincere in fighting if he wanted to defeat San. To train Denny's sincere nature, Mr. Khalid asked Denny to attack him while he was performing prayers, but when he was about to attack Mr. Khalid, suddenly he felt surprised by Abdul's arrival who followed him to Makassar. At night, Tutu and Gogos are confronted by San and his man. One of San's bodyguards still feels grudges because his face was once scalded by Gogos. He asked for a sarong fighting duel against Gogos. By using gimmicks, Gogos easily defeated San's bodyguard, with just one fist. Because San felt that he was not satisfied yet, he then promised $400 money if he could fight San. He challenges Tutu and Gogos to a sarong fighting duel. Later, Tutu and Gogos become injured from being hit by San. In fact, Tutu had to go to the hospital. Unfortunately, the identities of Tutu and Gogos are known to San after he found their ID card. When Denny was in the office, it was San who had previously leaked the secret that Russo Corporation, a company owned by Denny's parents. He comes to show Tenri who Denny really is. Tenri felt disappointed after learning about this. She went away from Denny's office. When Denny was about to chase Tenri, San confronted him in a fight. Fortunately, the fight was quickly broken down by Abdul. Then Gogos came to tell if Tutu was being hospitalized. Gogos told Denny that they had been contract employees for 5 years and hoped to become full-time employees. Full of guilt, Denny took the decision to return to Jakarta. However, he cancelled his wish, because Mr. Khalid came to advise him. The next day, at the time when the inauguration of the Russo Park project was to be carried out, suddenly Denny came over and asked his mother to cancel the construction, because many people there are harmed. Denny also apologized for often upsetting his mother. He then promised to change for the better. After saying those things, Denny then left. He also broke up with his girlfriend, Gwen. After that, he went to see Tenri to apologize and said honestly if he is Denny Russo, a son of Dina Russo, the owner of the Russo Corp company. He also expressed his feelings that he loved Tenri. Finally, the tournament was held. It can be seen that many participants participated in the sarong fighting tournament. Tenri and her mother were also there to watch the match. As a newcomer, Denny still follows the stages of each game. In the first match, Denny managed to defeat his opponent. So, it is with San. At the same time, Gogos, who is not good at talking, he could only write a letter to Kanong. Gogos said that in the past he was forced to ask Kanong for a breakup because he was told to focus on studying by his mother. And now Gogos expresses his feelings to Kanong if he still loves Kanong. And, he wanted to propose to her. Finally, Kanong's heart became moved and went straight after Gogos. It was the time for the final match. This was the moment when San, as champion for 3 consecutive years, had to compete against Denny as a newcomer. The game begins. With great difficulty and with all the abilities he has, Denny finally manages to defeat San. San doesn't accept his defeat and forcibly challenges Denny to a Sigajong Lalang Lipa match. Because of feeling scared, Denny then ran out of the arena of the game. But Mr. Khalid met him, and he said, "Die in the hands of God and not in the hands of thugs." Then the game started. He remembered Mr. Khalid's advice to always be sincere in fighting. Denny then threw away the knife and performed prayers. There San became confused to see Denny doing prayers, but San still gave Denny an attack. But just as he was about to attack Denny, San was finally bounced off by Denny's prayer movement. Seeing that there is a chance, Mr. Khalid and Abdul then act to incapacitate San's bodyguard. Not long after, the police finally came to arrest San and his bodyguards. Denny finally managed to get the victory trophy. The next day, Denny intends to return to Jakarta, but before leaving, he gives a surprise to Tutu. He granted Tutu a promotion to a full-time employee at Russo Corporation. Tutu felt very happy because that was what he had always hoped for. Denny was also approached by Tenri who said a lot of thanks to him. Tenri then gave Denny her beloved tape as a memory. And before Denny left, Mr. Khalid came to Denny with a poster containing an international sarong fighting tournament in 2024. Mr. Khalid suggested that Denny study in Makassar, so that he could prepare himself ahead of the tournament. And there, Denny cancelled his plans to return to Jakarta and continue his studies in Makassar. And the movie ends. Thank you for watching. I hope the plot of this film can inspire you. See you in the next movie.